Approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Sure, I'll second.
Okay, anybody have any changes to the agenda? All in favor? Okay, everybody. Public input and announcements. Are there any, oh, I gotta remember to check up there, you guys have to help me. Are there any, anybody signed up for public input, Rebecca?
No one signed up with me, no.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any public input, Mrs. Simonotti? Okay. All right, move right through that. Okay, approval of the minutes from 1/7/26. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Ned, second. Did anybody have any comments?
Rich is online.
Oh, hi, Rich. Welcome.
There.
Oh, yeah, I got your email just now.
No notes from me.
Okay, do we want to?
Yeah, I think some people are looking at the minutes, so I'm giving them a minute to, that's okay, I'm looking for the email agenda. Okay, anybody, any changes? Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes? Okay. Done, everybody approved. Okay, school year 26-27 calendar. Cheryl,
So I'm looking for board approval of our calendar for next school year already. The calendar is complete. It is the same as last year, with the one change being that I changed the date of our November early dismissal for PD to the week prior to Thanksgiving. This week, and it would have been the same this past year, students had a half day on Monday, a full day Tuesday, and then they were gone for Thanksgiving. So we felt like that was a difficult week, so we decided to move the half day a week earlier. So I'm looking for
okay,
questions or a motion to
well, let's get a
approve.
motion and
Yeah.
then we can discuss.
Oh, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed calendar for 2026-27.
With the recommended change.
Yes,
Okay.
as it is, yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, Ned seconds. Okay, now.
And then I'll
any-
follow up with the question.
Yep.
Can you repeat the change?
Well, it's already, if you're
So-
looking at the calendar that says, because I sent it
That's the
last
old
night,
one. There's
revised
another email.
120-26.
This is the change.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It goes from the 23rd to the 16th for the
Correct.
half day. It's because normally they're the third Monday or the fourth month,
Yeah.
third Monday, and so that would
I'm
still
just
be.
curious, it sounded like there was input, like, is this something, is it school principals? Like, how do you all come up with the calendar?
So, with the other superintendents in the area,
Oh.
we have a combined 175 days that are common. So we create one that's common 175 days, and then we have the other 2 days to play with. So, and I believe that's by state statute. So this is a combined, we're the last ones to actually approve the calendar. It's just the way the board meetings fell. But they are, that's how we do it. I did send it out to principals in central office and said, questions or comments or mistakes, if you see any, please let me know. And it did actually come, I had initially thought about changing that date, the PD day, and then I said, oh, it's my first year, let me just not rock the boat and keep things the way it is. And then it did come up from one of the admin who said, I think it would be really helpful if we moved it the week ahead, and then they all chimed in, all the principals, and said yes, and I said, I'll do it.
Okay.
I think I asked one time. There was some date that I was like, "Oh, it would be really clever if we changed this to this." And then part of it too is Stafford. Is like you can't be
Yes.
you can't be different than them because
That's helpful.
all our
So
students.
on here, unless there's another version, I'm looking, it just still says 11/23.
There's a second email
There's
or another email.
a later reply to the email.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm not going to look for it because I'll get lost in my emails. Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Anybody online have any questions or discussion? Okay. All in favor of approving it?
Sarah has a question, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, I just was curious, because there was concerns expressed earlier by parents about the burden that half-days, as they were configured, had placed on families and their childcare needs. I mean, is there any change to that, or is it as it was before?
It is as it was before. There's not been a change. It is the push and pull that we do to try to get our teachers to have more time for professional learning. And that's kind of why, we understand that it does create sometimes a burden. And it's why we put it out almost a year ahead, so every day is put there. And then there's... So.
okay. All right. Addie, welcome. Hi, would you like to, how's things going?
Good.
right.
Overall, I feel like that things at school are going really well, and I have some specifics to share with everyone.
Perfect.
I'll just jump right into it. My first category is music. This year we have had many students participating in auditions for music festivals, all districts, all states, and New England level. We have also had a very good acceptance rate, and our students will be representing MRU well at these festivals. Our music program is very strong, and in this semester as the change of the semesters was yesterday, we have multiple events coming up. The chamber choir has a fundraiser called Singing Valentines. You know about this. And which is our Valentine's Day fundraiser, where we sing a fun love song to whoever you want to send a Valentine to. And that's directly related to our March Bistro event, which is a showcase of all our singing throughout the year, the honors ensembles here. And so if that's interesting to you, feel free to talk to me. The visual art department held their winter art show and exhibit. The art was displayed beautifully over in the library, and it was very well attended by the students and parents and community members, and it overall was a really good experience for everyone. Sports. The sports here at Mill River are continuing to be very, very well attended and fun. Soccer and football in the fall, as well as all the other sports, was great. And I hear that basketball, wrestling, and all the winter sports are also being attended, and everything is going well. I'm so happy that's happening because it's such a good experience for high schoolers and the community around. With sports, soon on the 30th, we're going to have a pep rally for all students and daily faculty here at MRU. And people seem excited for it, and it's going to be very fun with our glow-in-the-dark theme. At the pep rally, we'll be announcing and appreciating all of our winter sports as we do at the fall pep rally for all the fall sports. We'll have the normal ones like girls and boys basketball, wrestling, but then we are hopeful to see our unified teams also be represented for our diverse school population. Another one, the change of the semester was yesterday, and it seems to be going smoothly as it always usually does. Second semester classes are starting, including classes like driver's ed, which I'm in this year. It's crazy that the year is already halfway done. My classes did not change, but seems that meetings with the guidance counselor and other people's classes have been going smoothly. Throughout all departments, music, sports, and continued events seem to be working fine. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you all had a great week, and you'll have a continued great week.
Thank you. All right. Anybody have any questions or?
That's great. I just have a comment that one of the things that there's a draft bill at the State House that would potentially give, if it passes, actually voting rights to a student board member. And then the bill right now would be like a 10, 11, or 12th grader has to be on the board with a voting rights. And then if you have a middle school, you would also be required to have one of them on your board as well. So that would be a pretty cool thing that if it went forward, it would mean that maybe you have to stay, because now you can leave, which is totally okay. But it may be put a little, but it would be cool to because we're always trying to, it's just, I feel like it's great to have you come, but it's also, and it's, to have your input is also really important, but to have even more buy-in would be fantastic. So if anyone's interested, you can, there's an article in VT Digger that was talking about it, and, if you want to push and if you want to talk to somebody to help, push it forward, I think that would be a really cool thing to pass.
That is really cool.
And there's going to be, actually for any board members, a webinar on student representatives on the board. So if you sign up for it, even if you can't be there, because it's like a 12-to-1 time, you can they'll send you the recording of it. So it came out in the latest notice from the BA.
That sounds really interesting.
Yep.
And I know some middle schoolers that I think would be nice for that if that ever does happen.
Yeah. Well, they can join too. We can have more than one member. So if you know anybody who wants to come and represent the middle school, just let me know. We'll get them on the agenda.
And in the past, we had multiple people at the same time as well. So it doesn't always just have to be one. So if you know anybody else who also would want to be a part of it, there is room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, her little mind is working.
Yes, it is.
Working away. Okay, superintendent's report. Cheryl,
Okay.
you're on.
So I put down things that have gone on. I hope you got a chance to read it in the district. I'll go over them, but I also want to say, if there is something that you would like me to report on, just let me know. So we had our first district-wide continuous learning committee. Oh, what a typo. Continuous improvement committee. Jeez. I'll fix that after. And it was last Wednesday, and I'm really happy because we have all of our stakeholders represented. We even have Addie on there, and she is reaching out to see if other students want to be on it. Carol was there as a board representative. You guys are more than welcome to come in, see what we're doing, or not, right? I don't want to add another meeting. I will report to you guys. But our next step is we looked at some of the positives and some of the areas for growth, but we need to hear that from the entire community. So we will be reviewing surveys to make sure that the questions are going to get us the information that we want, and then how will we disseminate them so that we can get the most participation. Very excited by that. I put in the district calendar, but I already told you that. It's created in conjunction with the Southwest Vermont Superintendents Association, and 175 of 177 days must be in common. So that's now passed. Our leadership team met last week. During that, some of the things that we did is we've established our testing dates for CAPT for the spring. And we reviewed each school's continuous improvement plan. to see where they're at and where do we, where are we at this point in the year. And then we had our own internal professional learning regarding effective communication. And it's been really nice because each leader leads some sort of professional learning for the rest of the team. And I think it's been really nice to learn and to have it from internal, right? We're not hiring outside consultants to come in and tell us these things. Food Services Committee met twice so far, and I think they've got an RFP ready to go. Excited about that. I think they're moving forward quickly and productively. Transportation, we had 2 proposals come in. I will make a recommendation at the next meeting as to where I think we should go with it, and we'll go from there. The curriculum work group, we had several teachers spend the day here, and they looked at reviewing our math curriculum like they had done in the past when it came to ELA. Math is more difficult because when you look at the research, there's lots of stuff out there for reading, and math is not quite as much, so they came up with how we are going to support student achievement moving forward, and those 4 items are what they focused on. And then the last thing, the VSBA had 2 things that I thought you might want to look at. One is a position paper on Act 73 and what they're saying should be in this act as we move forward, or how they should implement it. And then there was also another article that I thought was really good. It was just about healthcare costs. It's astounding to me. That's our biggest cost, our cost driver. It's our healthcare. So those are just a few things that have been going on in MRUUSD, and I'll take any questions, or if you have anything you would like me to report, just let me know.
Just a comment of that, for transportation, I think it's VT Digger again, there was just an article about bus services and the consolidation of those bus services and them being owned by private equity funds and the resulting service based on that. So as we're moving forward, that just, if you are interested in looking at that before the next meeting, it might be one of those helpful information points.
I was just curious to hear a little more about the Continuous Improvement Committee. I saw it from a parent perspective, and I just was curious how many folks are kind of made up of that group and what the conversations are focusing around.
So we've only had 1 meeting. There were 8 people who signed up. We had 2 teachers, a spouse of a teacher who's working as a community member. 3 teachers, I'm sorry. And then we also had another community member. It's not secret who the people are, so I'm wondering why I'm describing them this way.
It's okay.
We
I
had Gail from Tinmouth.
Yeah.
You know who they are, okay.
No, I might not. I said it's okay. I just was curious the makeup, yeah.
Yes, and then we had another parent come in, and who am I missing? We had Addie as a student. And really the first meeting was focused on, tell me a time, like what has worked well for you or your child in the educational system. And then everybody shared that, and then we also looked at, what are the things that we think are really working in Mill River, and what are the things that we think are not working. And then I shared with them 5 buckets of the ways we think of when we're improving an entire system. We've got operations, we've got communications, we've got instruction. How can I forget that? Kind of the most important thing, right? It's staffing, and I'm not remembering all of them off the top of my head. And then we will then take and create, I'm in the process of, because I promised them it would only be 6 meetings. So I don't want to it's a lot of work. So I'm in the process of creating surveys, but each survey will be different because one from, a student perspective is going to be asking the questions in a different manner. I would like the committee to decide if we want to go as early as grade 2 to 4. Do we want to ask the students that in very simple terms, right? And students would be more like, I like school, I feel like I'm learning, I have friends, my teachers, I feel safe, things along that. And then, what do we look at? Communications, how are we doing there? Looking at from the teacher perspective, do you feel supported? Do you feel you're, like the climate of the building, and so forth. And that's the other thing I want, when we had the first meeting, this is not like a session, if you have an issue with a certain teacher or a certain school or a principal, this isn't the place to do it, right? We're looking at the big systems. And I thought it went well. We'll see how our surveys, we'll decide on the questions. We will look at how to disseminate them, and also where could I go to get feedback from people in the community, right? So I'm going to count on the community to help me with that. So there's lots of stuff going into it, and we're kind of flying the plane as I'm building it. So I'll tell you that. But I think we'll get some good information after we get the surveys. Then what I want to do is be able to look at it and say, and I will share it with you guys. It'll be a public document. What do people say, and where's our focus going to be? So I would like to create district-wide improvement goals focused on that information, right? So one person said, I don't even know who you are. I've never seen you before. And I'm like, okay. And that's valuable information, right? That means, okay, maybe I need to do more communication or to, find a way to make myself more visible to community members. I also did have two community members respond from Front Porch Forum, who both said, thank you for doing this. I think it's so important. I don't want to be on your committee, but I do think. And then they gave me their feedback, and I said, thank you. I said, and when a survey comes out, please fill it out, because just because you don't have kids in the district does not mean you shouldn't have input into, we want to know what you're thinking, right? So we'll get there. I'm kind of excited by it.
Thanks for taking the time to explain that a little bit more.
No, I'm sorry, we're not taking public comment right now, sorry. Okay. Anything else from the board for Cheryl? You guys all good? Okay. Overview of tax letters, done. Stan is going to talk to us.
It'll go right to you.
Okay. Sounds good.
There you go.
What was the board actually looking in regards to, you were looking for the CLA letter as far as?
Yeah, the letter, the CLA letter, but that's what originally, but now it sounds like you've got a little more update that you.
Well, we can give the update that we.
This letter.
That we received from the state. This letter goes to the towns and also comes to the superintendent directly. And it's the final CLA number.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for a couple of our towns, the numbers changed a little too much from what was estimated in December. Originally, I will start off with the worst to basically no change for one town. The worst change happened with Wallingford. They were also originally our highest tax rate increase, which was originally at 7.83% increase. Their CLA number went further down from the estimated one. The Treasurer's Office, or the Department of Taxes, had estimated in December. their CLA number went from 61% down to 59.52%, which increased, their tax increase now would be 11.03% based on those numbers. Clarendon was in a very strong position in the month of December. They were actually showing a tax decrease when we originally did this of 1.55%. They actually saw the biggest drop in the CLA number that was estimated. It was estimated at 68%. It went down to 61.89%. So that decrease of 1.55% is now an increase of 8.68%.
Yeah, I know.
Shrewsbury had very little change, but they still went up slightly from 7.56% increase to 8.12%. And the town of Timoth, again, had the most recent assessment done, so their change was extremely nominal. It went from a 1.84% increase to 2.04% increase.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, how come the estimates were off from the reality? In other words, how are the estimates created that made an error of that magnitude? Is you getting the question?
Good question. I get the question. Like I said, this is done at the Department of Taxes.
Oh,
It's
okay.
all information that they receive directly from the town.
So it
We
wasn't done
don't,
locally?
it's not done here, it's done from, they collect the information from the town offices in regards to the grant lists and property sales. So I don't know what changed that number, or, you know, if somebody made a math error, or,
Because it's just based off of saying like, okay, in this past year, you've had these house sales. They're this much over how much we think your properties are actually worth. So this is how much you're off, and so that adjusts. So like in Tinmouth, sometimes we only have like 2 or 3 house sales, which can make a swing, but then usually you can petition that. But if it's over 5 houses sold or something, I think maybe it depends on what your population is or what your housing stock is, then you're just stuck with what that is. Like, you can't petition it. But I know in the past, Gail in our town has petitioned it in the past, you know.
This past one she didn't have much luck with, but the
Yeah,
other
but in
one-
the previous times we have,
previous
right?
one she did.
Because sometimes there's just like a house that's an outlier, and sometimes that does it. Whether that's the case that's occurring now, but it is something that I know in the past towns have tried to actively say,
That's not representative.
what's going on, yeah, like tried to do something.
So who does that, the clerk or the treasurer?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
And that all happens quickly, because you need that number, obviously, by the day you vote.
No,
No?
if this goes past,
Right.
you know, the appeal will probably go past
Oh.
the date of the vote. They'll change it prior to, once they set the tax rate in the legislature and all that stuff. They'll all get settled by, I would say, June. I think we saw letters for Timoth in the past, maybe around June.
Ray's got a question.
Go ahead, Gray, thank you. Gray, can you hear me? I don't,
Oh, he's
Yes.
frozen.
he's frozen.
Yeah.
All right.
No, he's got it.
Yeah.
Okay, Gray, can you hear us? You're frozen from this side.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
I know, we're having trouble with our internet. I have a question for Stan. I missed part of what you said about Wallingford. I know that our CLA number went down and therefore our tax rate went up. What was it in the projection for what were we projecting and what has it actually turned out to be?
Okay, we were projecting a 7.83% increase, and it turned out to be 11.03% increase.
Ouch.
What was the CLA, I think he's asking? You said it
The
was
CLA number for
percentage.
Wallingford was originally estimated at 61%, and it came in at 59.52%.
So I know in the budget, we were voting a certain amount, I think it was 1.25 million out of the surplus to help reduce the tax burden for all of the towns. Do you happen to know off the top of your head if that will get Wallingford under a double-digit increase?
That already is included in the tax rate numbers.
Okay, so at the end of the day, we're going to be at 11% tax rate increase in Wallingford.
Correct.
Unless,
But then, right now, if they do what the governor wants, overall tax rate would be half of that, but not necessarily on a town-by-town basis, right?
Right.
Because they would be adding, they want to put $50 million into it, but it's not equally distributed, right? Or is it just, like, because it's,
Yeah, it wouldn't be because it would reduce the yield number.
yeah.
Which is part of the calculation. It would not affect any town CLA number, so yeah, it wouldn't be a equal.
So, I mean, is there any possibility that what the governor is doing will drop that tax rate at all, or we don't know?
It would. It would, I would definitely say it would get it back under the 10% or.
But, and the example, last year was $80 million, and that basically is half of, it's the equivalent of 6% of this year's increase was that $80 million last year that they put into the fund. So if 50 million's not as much of it, and, it doesn't work coming back down, like after you do this 80 million, 50 million's worth less the next year. But, so it will come down an amount. And most likely it would come down, I would guess it would come out of the double digits, but.
And at the last meeting that I was at for our state meeting, it was asked of the legislator that was there, that could they give us that number so that we could use it? And they said more than likely they weren't going to let that number out. So it's.
And of course, the catch is, it's one-time money,
yeah,
so.
I know, but they've used one-time money
Every year.
4 times in a row now.
And that's
And
what's,
they just ruin us every
that's part
time.
of what's affecting the tax rate
Yep.
this year. Because last year was one-time money too. And
Cans I can get?
so,
it bites us in the rear going forward.
yeah,
If you
yeah,
keep doing this.
right.
I'm curious, like, what our community members are going to hear and how we talk about it. Like, are they going to hear, like, is Wallingford going to hear that there's potential 11% tax increase? And, like, what are our talking points?
Well, Stephen's not on. I was going to say, it's all of our jobs to kind of talk about this. I am signed up for the Clarendon board members to go to the select board on Monday night, and I was going to present Stephen's letter, and it was all going to be, happy days, and now I think I'll have to reconfigure that, and if anybody from Clarendon wants to join me, I would appreciate it. But I do think going to your select board is a good way to start, if you, and just get on the agenda and just talk about the budget and, how the board kept it, how our percentage of increase is low, and it also includes the health insurance aspect of it. And then I'm thinking I'll recommend that whoever, the treasurer or whatever, files, is it a, what do they call it, where they say, no, this isn't right, we don't like your CLA?
appeal?
An appeal, yeah. So I'll talk about filing an appeal, maybe I'll get more information
Great,
from.
that's
Yeah,
stand up
and,
again.
Okay,
our district tax rate isn't affected by this, so it, stays, it's still the 1.12% increase that we had done based on our budget before CLA gets a hold of.
Right, yeah, so that's what you were gonna come and talk about, the equalization study results letters, but,
And if you,
see Tinmouth is at 90, this says 96.26%. What did it come out for you?
For Timoth,
Yeah. That's the only letter I have here.
And that's the
Yeah,
corrected one.
96.26%.
Okay,
The other key point of that letter too is it's called the coefficient of dispersion. And usually you try to have that number under 20%. If you go over 20%, then that automatic triggers a reappraisal. And it isn't over 20%. It's considered by the state that certain property owners are paying more money than they should. And the other way around is that people not paying enough. When that coefficient of dispersion percentage starts going over 20%. So for, the town of Wallingford, it's at 22.43%. So that means, there's certain people that are not paying their fair share of taxes based on.
Is that taking into account the appraisal that just happened last year?
If there was an appraisal done last year, it's not reflected in their numbers.
Okay.
Right, and so, because that's what happened to Tinmouth last year, right? We had a really, really high number, but then it hadn't updated to our reappraisal, and so then our numbers retroactively were much better.
And to Josh's point about how these numbers for a small town can change, they had theirs done 2 years ago, their coefficient number's at 13.2%, so it's already starting.
We built
Yeah.
Creep back
some
up.
very big houses since then.
Right. Gray? Gray, you're frozen, so
No,
we'll
no,
give you a
sure.
minute. Okay.
Yeah, I hope you guys can hear me. We had published in the Wallingford Front Porch Forum the budget letter that newsletter that Stephen had written. And I feel like we're going to need a follow-up to that.
Yeah.
To try to head off any public uproar about the increase in the decrease in the CLA and therefore the increase
Yeah.
in the tax rate, so that people understand that, this is not us being profligate spenders. This is a thing that's completely out of our control.
Right.
So we have some time, and, I think the finance committee is going to have to take that one up and hopefully generate some kind of follow-up newsletter that we can put out to get to folks.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think to your point, Kim, I think whatever the state narrative is actually what the narrative is, and it doesn't really matter what your local rate is. Like, people will see it, but it's still just the general mood of
That's a good
what the
point.
because if you the Rutland Herald, like when we voted ours in like that, the next 2 weeks, there's every single district comes in and they also get reported on, and we're right in with everybody else. Like, it's not like we're not doing an outlier, we're not crazy high, we're not crazy low, and it's one reason why, part of the conversation is talk to your representatives and actually have them do something.
Right. Ned?
I'm trying to understand the connection between our school budget and this tax increase. Like, our school budget hasn't passed yet, so as far as I know, this is not affected by our school budget, right? Our
Right.
school budget
Those
here.
numbers.
So if the
Those
public
numbers on
wanted
the
to
ballot
say,
are
well,
not
this is all the school board's fault, we're gonna vote down the budget, we come up with a new budget that's $1 million, $2 million lower, it's still not gonna affect that tax rate increase for this year.
It's just that, voting down
It
the
would.
school budget is one of the only mechanisms that sometimes people feel like they have.
Oh, I understand that, I'm not
Yeah,
arguing that,
I
I'm just
know.
trying
So
to,
it's making that
I'm just trying to
distinction.
walk this hypothetical down the road, because I don't understand the mechanisms.
We would, if they vote our budget down, which we have a very sound budget, and
Yeah.
it makes sense for it to pass.
Agreed.
But if they voted down, we would then come back as a finance committee,
Yep.
and we would come up with another budget that would then be voted on again. It's what Slate Valley, they did it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times before they got. And the reality is 6% of this increase is because of one-time money from last year. And then, so we have to make up for that. And then let's pretend there's fat in the budget. After you start cutting a certain amount, all you're doing is making circumstances in the school worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the key is and why I'm always fine with voting before CLA numbers come out, because while it is important, it is part of our job to, restrict the tax increases as much as possible. It's also our jobs to make sure that our schools can function and have the resources that they need. And so that's what I was in a very much more uncomfortable position, in 2 years in a row where Tinmouth had very high numbers. And the reality is like, this is the situation that we're in. And as a school, we can only do so much before we start really hindering our ability to educate the students.
Yeah,
Right?
I wasn't trying to argue in
I know you're not,
either
but
direction. I was just.
This is the
trying to
passion,
understand.
that this is what you have to convey when people
Oh, yeah.
are talking
Right,
to you about
right.
it. It
Absolutely.
is, we can't control healthcare, we can't control inflation, we can't control these other things. And we need to, if people really want if they really want to stop the tax increases occurring, well, one, I don't think the state actually has a solution for it, but we have already lost a lot of our power. And so the chain of complaints needs to keep going higher, basically, is the real problem.
Yeah.
I'm done with wisdom.
And this isn't just us, it's obviously, it's a whole statewide. I mean, I can see budgets that are, people are inputting them on a spreadsheet as to where they are, where their towns are, and we're right smack. The average is coming out to low for their towns is 3%. The average high rate for towns is a little over 11%. So we're smack right in the middle of it. There's other towns that are in some serious, over 20% increases out there, and that they've been the ones pushing to have the governor's funding of the buy down of the budgets, our tax rate there's this year to be made public so that they can go to their towns and actually have some concrete numbers. Because, over 20% is kind of crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And it just reminded me too, the Superintendent's Association is advocating for reform in how we finance education, because it's not working. Several of my colleagues have spoken, testified before the legislature, and they all have been in favor of some sort of foundation formula, because this is just not tenable, right? And then it's like you said, Josh, it comes to, they complain to us and we don't have the power to change it, right? And it needs to go up higher. So I'm hoping that something does come out of this.
Because they did take
session.
somebody did take a look at, the numbers for this current tax year. Like our per pupil spending was $13,500 per student. And if what they're suggesting, which Cheryl's talking about, they said this is where you would have been if this law went into effect, and we were at 14,000 after this law going into effect.
So we would stand to gain money.
Well, not really,
At least
because
for this
wouldn't
year,
our taxes
for at least
go up?
this year we would have.
No.
No.
It would stabilize the taxes.
The reality is the districts that are paying, if a foundation formula went into place, the districts who are current, like Slate Valley, their taxes will go up. All the districts that have high taxes will come down. Because you're just compressing the entire thing, basically.
But I think it provides stability for communities and the homeowners. And then it does put us in the position of, this is how much money you have. How do you wish to spend it? And then it puts that on us so that we kind of know where our parameters are.
And then part of the idea too is that because the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court said that we have to have an equal playing field for equal funding, that's why we have this very convoluted system, because it all has to go up to the state and then get re-spread out. So if we're doing all of that anyway, why isn't there just a foundation formula to begin with?
Well, I did ask the question of the group of board chairs, why, I didn't understand why, and I've asked Dan this question, why we have different tax rates within, if we're one school district, why do we have different tax rates in each town? And the reason is because another factor in determining tax rates is the income sensitivity portion of it. So that if you have a lot of, families or property owners who get rebates, income rebates, then everybody else's taxes in the town go up. So I don't know exactly how that all works, but that's another factor.
Yeah, because it's income-based, right?
Yes.
So every year's different, but somewhere between, the majority of taxpayers are actually paying based on their income, not exclusively on their property taxes. It's usually like 65 to 75
Right.
or whatever. And then I'm subsidized because I have, my land is in current use. So I have a ton of acreage that is taxed at a lower rate, but I have to log it. I have to do agricultural practices on it, and that's the trade-off, right? But it's a subsidy to help encourage those agricultural businesses, right? So that's a subsidy. So there's the income subsidy, there's current use as a subsidy. We currently don't have any, the non-homestead tax is everything that's not a first home. So businesses are taxed the exact same way as a second home, and in theory, 73 creates a new category, but that's also a form of a subsidy.
Yeah, so it's so complicated.
It's not that complicated.
Okay, all right, so we got the news. Maybe you could just send out those numbers, just write them. I didn't get them all written, or maybe,
I wrote them down.
okay,
I
Rebecca
can share them.
maybe got them in the minutes, so.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
anybody else, I think, have we beat that? Okay.
Thanks for bringing cheer.
Thanks, Stan. I know. Poor Stan. He was like,
Thank
He's just the
what do you want me
Thank
to,
you.
what do you really want me to talk about?
Is there something else we can talk about?
Yeah, really. Okay. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of education, board education tonight. We're going to do Robert rules, and Rich was volunteered.
Thank you.
Bye, Addie. Bye.
Thank you.
Rich got volunteered to do Robert's rules, so he's gonna go first, and then I'll do open meeting law. And we're just gonna briefly review stuff, and then if anybody has any questions. Oh, I can't hear you. I think you gotta turn your mic on. You might be on mute. No?
No, he's not on mute.
You're not on mute, so,
We heard him earlier, right?
yeah. You just, something needs to be clear.
I feel like we did.
No.
I don't.
Now you're on mute.
There you go.
No.
Maybe you're exempted from presenting on Robert's rules.
Yeah. Is there a connection, an audio connection maybe somewhere that you need to do?
Look at the top of your keyboard and where it shows like the buttons and it has the volumes. Sometimes
No.
you can mute that by mistake. There's one other thing, 'cause I did it.
Sometimes using Bluetooth headphones might work. I don't know if the regular sound isn't working too.
Rich, why don't I go ahead with open meeting, and then you can mess around with it, or maybe call back in, maybe sign back in, that might work as well. Okay? All right, so open meeting law. I did send out 2 PowerPoint PDFs, so, there's a little bit more detail in those in terms of the categories, but I just wanted to highlight what I thought are things that I think we know, but, it's good to review them, and it's on our schedule, so we're doing it. So the purpose of the open meeting law is to create transparency and accountability for decisions and consensus before the public and with public participation. All meetings are open to the public with rare exceptions like executive sessions, and there might be other meetings. And must be followed anytime a quorum or a majority holds a meeting, and that's defined as just discussing business or taking action. So, it has basically 4 categories: meetings, notice, agendas, and minutes. and then we'll talk about executive session, because I think there's some things there that we need to cover. So a meeting is any majority that discusses business or takes action, and it can occur anywhere. So it could be hybrid, it could be email strings, it could be social media conversations. I did not go into public requests of records, but that's a whole other category. So, and it's in that spreadsheet that PowerPoint that I sent you, so you might
I think it
look
is,
at that.
just to interrupt, it is like if you do your email should be how you communicate, the only way you communicate with people in a written form. If you're communicating via text message, if you're doing any in your personal, that now opens up your text messages and your personal email to these open meeting laws.
Yeah,
rules.
and to public records requests. So, yeah, so you really want to just use your school email for your communication. It's not a meeting if we're emailing about scheduling, agendas, or to distribute materials. So all of that, all of those emails that you get about that stuff. Social gatherings, which I was happy to know if we ever wanted to get together and have a dinner or something, we don't have to warn it and invite the public, but we cannot talk about anything that would be business of the board, or if we even expect the subject to be business at a later meeting. So you have to, just talk about your kids and your gardens and your farms and all of that. And maybe we'll do that at some point. And the regular meeting times and place are set at the annual organizational meeting. Okay, so noticing, regular meetings, 48 hours notice. That's why for committee meetings and regular board meetings, Rebecca's great at getting those notices out. A special meeting needs a 24-hour notice, and an emergency meeting when necessary to respond to unforeseen occurrence or conditions requiring immediate attention that requires some public notice as soon as possible before the meeting, so there's not a set time. So what would that be? I think at one point we had a contract that we needed to approve, and it was an emergency for some reason. We had to approve that contract in a very short period of time. I think we scheduled a meeting the next day. So I don't know what else if it comes up, we'll figure it out, but there are emergency meetings. So agendas, we did have input from Gail Fowler about agendas, but I think we fixed that. And the agenda has to have the specific topics of the discussion, potential actions, which is why we put discussion or discussion action next to our items on our agendas, so that the public is aware that there may be action on a particular agenda item. Remote info to allow public access to meetings electronically. And so we do that. That's our hybrid links, and the time and location of the meeting. So those are the things that need to be on the agenda. I didn't write it here, but I just wanted to remind everyone that we used to put executive session if needed, but now if you're having an executive session, you actually, at the beginning of the meeting, have to add it to the agenda, and you have to give, and I have it down below, you have to determine what discussing in public would place the board or subject at substantial disadvantage. So that has to happen at the beginning of the meeting, not the executive session, but the motion to put the executive session on the agenda. So that was a change in the last legislative session.
So when we say any changes to the agenda, that's
Yes,
the moment.
right, exactly, before we approve the
And
agenda.
if you know an executive session, like, it can
Yes.
already be in the agenda
Agenda.
if you know if it's gonna be
Right.
there. But it has to be explicit when it's
Right.
put in the agenda, of what it's
Exactly.
for.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just decide to go into executive session at the end. You have to warn it at the beginning of the meeting. Okay, so that takes care of the agenda. Minutes, we had some questions about what should be in the minutes. It should be a true indication of the business of the meeting. It can be amended as the first order of business, which we usually do right after we approve the agenda, and we can amend it. They need to cover all the topics and the motions that arise. The minimum content, so this is the minimum. We get a lot more in our minutes, which we appreciate, because I think it really does help people to see how we got to where we got to. But you have to have the members present, active participants, motions, proposals, resolutions, and disposition, and vote results, noting individual votes if there's a roll call. If there's not, if it's unanimous, then I don't think, you don't have to put each individual how they voted. Okay, executive session, I sort of touched on that. The first is determining whether discussing in public would place the board or the subject at substantial disadvantage, and a majority must agree to move into executive session, so that's the second vote, okay? But this was important. When in executive session, a board may only discuss the subject matter referenced in the motion to enter executive session, and there are no minutes. So that's something important to keep in mind. And then you come out if there is a motion, and you do that in public. And then public comment is part, and the public must be given a reasonable opportunity to express its opinion, which is why we have public comment time. And any person in the district must have a reasonable opportunity to express views. So it doesn't have to be someone with knowledge of the topic, or, it doesn't even have to. I have not been saying that it has to be tied to the agenda. It can be on any topic. If that became a problem, then we might have to adjust what we.
Right. And I think
say.
Kim go ahead.
No, go ahead. I don't know what
You had your
gonna say.
hand raised, so you get to go. Not me
Well, I was just
interrupting
gonna ask,
Joe.
actually, with that piece, how is it determined, if somebody that is present at the meeting wants to weigh in on a topic that we're discussing?
It's the chair's discretion.
Okay.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
I was just going to say that, and you might have made the comment at one point, is that it's a public meeting, but not a meeting of the public.
Right.
I said
Yes.
that?
You did.
Yeah, very smart, yes. Yeah, so it's our meeting, so it's,
Okay.
we give the public an opportunity to present or address us, but then from there on, when we're having discussions, it's our meeting. Now, occasionally, someone might have special knowledge, and we know that, and we might invite them into the discussion, but that's at the discretion of the chair. Okay. Okay, that's it. That's all I have. Does anybody have any comments or questions or?
I think
Anything
for,
that we
like,
missed?
the key thing for this, and I always need a reminder of it, as a board chairs, is if you're in charge of your meetings is to get them in on time. I think that was a challenge for a while.
What?
If you're a committee chair, whoever's taking the minutes for your subcommittee, for your
Right.
committee, needs to make sure that they're getting in a timely fashion.
5 days. They have to be in by 5 days if that's a guide for you guys.
Some of us have had issues with that in the
Well, but
past.
we have a good reminder person who lets us know, hey.
Yeah.
I was probably late. wasn't I?
Yeah,
It's okay.
that's all right. What did you do when you found out? You sent them in. That's right. That's right. Okay.
I think Rebecca probably reminded me
Okay,
on
how are
time,
you doing,
actually.
Rich? Can we hear you? No,
Nope.
no.
Save it for
Good thing we
another
can't
day.
hear them.
I think it's one of these things he needs to.
Yeah, I don't know. That's so weird.
I'll be right over, Rich.
Are you tech?
Ned's coming over he's a tech guy.
You're in trouble if I'm the tech guy.
I know when you first sign on, you have to say whether you want to do audio and visual. Like you have to connect your audio. Your
First to like
microphone.
choose what device you use.
Whoa! We hear you. What'd you just do?
You can?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. I
What'd you
switched
do?
to,
What'd you-
all right.
How'd you do that?
So I apologize for not being there. I actually had printouts that I was going to hand out with some cheat sheets, but if you received the package, the new member package from the Vermont School Board Association, they had this little cheat sheet in there, laminated one that has kind of the basics that I think we would all, it behoove us all to have it in front of us as we go through. So I know Carol put 10 minutes on there, so I'll try to move quickly and just kind of hit the basics. The first thought is the purpose or what Robert's rules should do is protect really the rights of the majority to decide any question. Any main motion is going to be, all main motions will be decided by a simple majority. We do have privilege motions that require a supermajority, but we'll get to that. But another purpose is to protect the rights of the minority to be heard. Generally, in Robert's rules, everybody should have a chance to speak before somebody's spoken twice. The chair has the responsibility of recognizing anybody before they speak, so you must be recognized before you speak. And then it also has the protecting the individual members as part of Robert's rules, so that everybody has an opportunity. Everybody within the association has an opportunity to be heard. The purpose of these is efficiency. It's not to be dragged down or bogged down by rules, but rather to make meetings run more efficient and help us transact the business. It should promote cooperation. The beauty of the motions and following motions, it forces us to focus on one thing at a time. And it allows us then to have full and free debate on those motions. The chair has a lot of the responsibility. You know, Robert's rules it's a tome. You know, there's a lot to it. But to participate fully in any meeting, you really don't have to know all of Robert's rules. But the chair has a lot more responsibility. The Robert's Rules, the authors of the Robert's Rules newly revised version, the one that came out in, I think it was 2016, suggests that chairs should be as lenient as possible. So you don't want a chair that is such a stickler for the rules that everybody gets frustrated not understanding how to make a motion. But chairs should be helpful, impartial, calm, objective. And a lot of the responsibility for the meetings falls on them. Chairs call the meeting to order. They announce the agenda and the proper order of the meeting. Chairs recognize members before they are entitled to take the floor. Chairs should restate the motions before debate and again before a vote. Chairs have to enforce all the rules related to debate, order, and decorum, and decide any sort of questions of order. Really, in strict Robert's rules, when we speak, when a member has the floor, they should be addressing the chair rather than addressing one another. We're not really supposed to be using one another's names, but rather we address the chair when we speak. That is something I've not, very few outside of Congress and legislative assemblies, that is not really a common practice in the rules, but that's just what the Robert's rules do. And the reason is such that we're not ever directly attacking or criticizing the view of somebody who spoke before, but rather speaking our opinions to the chair. So what's on us, the members? Our remarks should be
restricted to the pending question. So while we have the floor, a motion is on the floor. If we are recognized by the chair, our comment should be specific to that motion. The chair could have the ability to shut down non-germane arguments. We should be refrained from attacking the motives of any other members in the discussions. We should refrain from speaking against previous motions once we have the floor, once we're dealing with a new motion. The chair should be impartial and not speak to the motion, but the chair also has and the chair would only vote in matters where it's a tie vote otherwise to decide the question. But the chair also has the option to step down and hand over the running of the meeting to another member if she or he were to want to speak passionately. You know, if there's a motion that is very near and dear to the heart of the chair and the chair wants to speak to it, they can hand over the meeting to somebody else and then speak on that motion and then resume the chairship after that motion has been decided and put to rest. The idea, when we put a motion on the table, that's often called the main motion. It is the whatever it is that we're eventually going to vote on. The motion is stated and there's a second, and after that the chair should restate the motion so that we understand what it is we're speaking to, and then we can have debates. In that debates, there's opportunities for secondary motions. Secondary motions could be subsidiary motions, amending the motion that's on the table, or it could be there are privilege motions as well. If we wanted to interrupt the discussion such that because we have a special visitor or somebody had a certain timeline that they had to leave a visitor that we had later in the meeting, we have that thing. And then incidental motion, just the point of order. If you feel somebody's out of order and you want to raise something to the chair, those motions could be made during the time that a main motion is being considered. We don't often have to end debate. It's a motion called calling the question or deciding the question, the previous question. That requires a 2/3. That's one of those motions that requires a 2/3 majority in order to end debate, so that minority, if it's a very closely debated thing, the majority can't decide to cut off debate and end it before everybody's had a chance to have their say. Adjournment is another one that is requires a 2/3 majority, but we don't do that a lot. And what's interesting is our conversations in our board, as I've noticed, we kind of peter out, and then Carol says, let's take it to the vote, call the question. That's really interesting, and that's what happened a lot. Just quick, I'm sorry, I'm going to be pedantic here for a second. This is where we got the filibuster, because when that happens, Aaron Burr saw that was the case, and he decided to remove the previous question from the rules of the Senate. And once that was removed, people were able to filibuster and never end debate. So that was just an interesting historical aside. All right. So let's see. We got the main motions, sister board. If we do have a motion that has been particularly troubling and we want to put it aside for a moment, we have two options. We put it on the use of tabling allows us to put something aside for that meeting and then come back to it in that meeting. If we wanted to decide, if we said this is an issue for another day, we also can postpone. There's a motion to postpone the question, and then we we have two options, postpone to specific date or postpone indefinite. So that those are options that are available to us as well if we can't reach a good order on there. Among the privileged orders, again, raising a question of privilege, moving to recess or moving to adjourn, or creating a fixed time to adjourn, those are all non-debatable motions, but require a 2/3 majority. Trying to think here. So, we all also have the option if the chair were to make a ruling to appeal with the second there, and then the board can ask the chair to reconsider any decisions that were made in her role as chair. All right. I think really, if we follow the open meeting, Carol set out the open meeting laws. Those are by law. Those are things we have to follow. And I think if we follow the rules so that we're addressing one motion at a time. There's also a lot of times we have complicated motions where we're dealing with a motion that really has two separate issues to it. There's a motion to divide the question that we could use so that we can consider them separately. And that often helps us when there are two things that kind of have been tied together but could be considered separately by the team. So those are motions that we can raise. Anyways, I think I'll quit it there. If
Well, Rich, I know that when we reorganize one of the motions that we make, you got to help me, Lenny, you judge it, is we follow Robert's rules for small boards. And so, is there something different in that than anything?
It's a big difference. You don't have to stand up at a podium to talk.
Oh.
Right.
You don't have to wear a suit and tie.
No.
It's a lot, there's just a lot more formalities in
Okay.
actual Robert's rules versus Robert's rules.
Okay.
yeah.
All right. I just want to make sure, because I think, well, I try. But I do rely on the other board members to help muddle through.
Right, and larger organizations have a parliamentarian there to kind of assist the chair so that the chair doesn't have to be aware of all the rules. We don't have that sort of thing there. So I think working well together, as I believe we do, we're using the basic structure of it, and that is a way to get our meetings done.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I'm very, very guilty of for the Robert's rules is the making sure everybody has a voice and making sure if people want to be heard that everyone gets a chance to be heard before someone chimes in again.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah, Kim.
I'm getting a lot of.
Jeez. This guy.
Well, and you guys take turns, so I'm not real stickler about, okay, it's your turn, it seems. But if anyone feels that they're not having a chance to talk, then we can, we can address it. Thank you. Can you be our quasi-parliamentarian?
Sure.
Okay.
Only if he gets to wear a white wig.
I think he already is.
Thank
Does
you.
he need one of those white wigs?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, there we go. Anybody have any other questions?
He's a town moderator for
I
Clinton,
know, that's right.
so he better know all this stuff.
That's right. Oh, that's true. You have to run those meetings.
Thank you, Rich.
Thanks, thanks, Rich. Okay, committee reports, personnel,
Nothing.
nothing.
We're meeting the first Wednesday in February,
Yeah, whatever that date is.
whatever
February.
that date is.
That's our next
Do you want to know what that date is?
Sure.
Yeah, February 3rd, right?
The first Wednesday, you said?
Yes.
Like fourth.
The fourth.
Oh, that's January. That's why.
Okay, yep, so the next Personnel Committee meeting will be February 4th at 6 o'clock. Thank you.
Okay, policy.
So policy, we did meet on on January 13th. Sorry, we just have one policy, looking for a motion to rescind. I suddenly have lost it in my notes, I'm sorry. To rescind F15 student publications.
So moved.
Thank you, Rich.
Seconded? No, we don't need a second.
You don't need a second, right?
No, we don't
No.
need a second.
Discussion on that. The reason, oh yeah,
I was just gonna ask for clarification.
yeah, that's great. We have decided to rescind this because there is no one that is either required or recommended from VSBA that's an equivalent. And we have two other policies that speak to similar things. We didn't find that necessarily this was a policy that had anything outside of what we already had in the other policies, and to simplify things, we felt like we could rescind it. Does that lend
Yep.
and Rich? Right.
Yep.
There's more than that.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought I put them on the agenda, but they disappeared.
There's F39 is in our materials.
But I was just going to look in the documents.
I know I
Within
put them on the agenda,
documents.
but they disappeared again.
Well, you mean well, we have a motion on the table, so let's,
For this
Yeah.
rescinding.
so all
F3.
in favor of rescinding F13, or,
Or
I'm
15.
sorry, F15, thank you. And I think we might have lost Gray and Sarah.
Yeah, I've been getting texts that they can't get back on, they lost.
F39.
She's not happy about it, yeah.
Okay,
And that's it.
so is everyone here in favor? I didn't see.
Everybody raised their
Okay.
hands, yeah.
Okay, and Jody, I apologize, what are the ones that, were they from before?
So we've got both first reads and second reads today.
Oh, sorry, I completely missed it, okay.
No, it's okay. They somehow, they were on the agenda and then I think they just got cut somehow, so not your fault. Do you want to do first or seconds first?
Let's do second first.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so these ones have already gone through their period in the Rutland Herald and are ready for adoption by second read. I'll hand you them one at a time.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. C12, student freedom of expression in school media.
Thank you, okay. So, motion for second read for adoption of C12, student freedom of expression.
So moved?
We
So,
don't need a second. so we'll
okay.
just go.
discussion on that. That is actually one of the policies that we were talking about of why we feel like we can rescind F15. Yeah. And I don't have my notes in front of me for this, so I apologize. So I'm going off. So anyone else from the policy committee remember any specifics, including you, Jody, feel free to.
Isn't this one that needed to, this is actually like a required?
That's what I was trying to
one?
remember.
I think this was that one of the ones that we maybe didn't have, but we needed to have.
That's correct.
Okay. All in favor? Awesome. Okay, Jody, hit us.
D7, animal dissection.
Okay,
Said with gusto.
okay, looking for a motion to accept D7 for second read, animal dissection.
Sure.
I'll make that motion.
I'll have Len made the motion, and we don't need a second, actually, I just realized.
No.
Any discussion needed there?
No major changes to the policy.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's a required one.
It is required.
And it was just one that hadn't been reviewed since 2016. All in favor? All right, that's everybody. Any other, Jody?
Yep, last one for second read. B4, CHRI checks. Those are the criminal record checks. This is the one that came out of
The audit.
the audit.
Okay. Gosh, I was really not on top of this. Thank you, Jody. Okay, so a motion to accept B4 CHRI checks.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, like, for discussion, like Jody said, we did great in that audit.
Do you have the first reads?
I mean, we didn't do anything with that, the board, but the district did great in that audit. The only thing is they wanted us to add this policy, yep. All in favor? Okay. B4 passes. Okay, for first reads, Jody, any other?
Yeah, these are the first reads.
Okay.
Do you want to?
No, go ahead.
You got it, Len?
I got one here. F39, financial reports and statements. So we need a motion to approve the first read. And I guess I can make that motion, as long as I'm reading.
Oh,
Yeah.
living the dream.
Any discussion? Oh,
Yes.
go ahead, Rich.
Is this the policy that we had asked to have Stan review?
No. That is E4. No.
Okay,
It's a
thank
good
you.
question. There's a couple other ones that we asked Stan. We're in the finance land of the policies right now, so we're asking Stan to look at a few of them. This was previously E3, financial reports and statements.
Got it, thank you.
All in favor? Okay. Is that it?
More.
Oh my gosh, okay.
It's because you guys have done such good work.
Yeah, you've gotten a lot done.
I just need to keep better track of it. What was the last one? Do you know, Jody?
Yep, it's for first read F15 student publications.
Oh, we rescinded that.
Oh, you did. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, that's
it.
okay.
Okay, that's it. Never mind. All done.
Amazing. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Lynn. Our next meeting is on February 10th at 6 p.m. It's a Tuesday. Thank you for the teamwork.
Buildings and Grounds still hasn't met, but we're gonna meet on Monday, which is the 26th, I think. 5, and, the agenda should be out, so, I sent it out today, so it should go up. But we're gonna talk about the new position and just get some updates on the
Projects.
happenings,
Yeah.
projects that have occurred.
Okay. Community engagement, Sarah's not on, so I think, and they haven't met. Superintendent evaluation, we met tonight. We determined the evaluation process. We are going to meet again to finalize the survey or the evaluation tool that's going to be used. And we're going to meet prior to the annual meeting on February 26th, which is a Thursday at 6 o'clock. And, yeah, okay, that's that. Just a note, I'll throw it in here, it's probably not where it goes, but we probably will not have our second meeting in February because we have the annual meeting on Thursday, and that's during school vacation, so it's not a great time for people to meet, it's a vacation. So just mark that on your calendar, that we probably will not have that second meeting in February, or don't mark it on your calendar, however, whatever works.
Which should be the
Erase it.
26th, right?
No, I think it's before, I think
I can
it's,
look it up after.
it's the 18th.
Okay.
For the annual meeting?
No, the annual meeting is the 26th.
Which is during February break.
Right.
Oh, that's February break, the end
Yeah.
of the month? Oh, okay, well, then cancel everything I said, but I still don't think we'll have that because we have the extra meeting, the annual meeting.
So we won't have the 18th.
No.
Okay.
Okay. And that takes us to finance. Stephen's not here, so I will read the warrants.
Do you have any good news from Stephen? That why he's not here?
Yeah, he has a baby, right?
He does.
Jody made an announcement.
Baby Nico.
Yep, baby Nico.
Nico, that's a cool name.
Very nice.
What was the day he was born? Do you remember? It was, when we talked about it, it was like 3 days before that, so about a
How'd
week
you
ago.
know?
We're Facebook friends.
Oh, good old
That's
Facebook.
awesome. Congratulations to them.
Definitely. Okay, payroll warrants for January 16th, 2026, in the amount of $655,651.43. Motion to approve the payroll warrant.
So moved.
Ned, and a second.
Sure.
Dave, any discussion? Did not repeat the motion. All in favor? Okay, I'm going to practice on the next one. Accounts payable warrant. We have $534,435.16. Motion to approve the accounts payable warrant. Anybody?
I'll make a motion.
Second, Josh? Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Motion to, okay. All in favor of approving the accounts payable warrant? I don't know what to say. Okay, good. And then 692, a motion to approve the student activity warrant, payable warrant, $692. Motion to approve that. Ned, second.
Sure.
Lenny, okay. Discussion? All in favor? Okay, so that's good. All right, let's see. Transact, other legal business. Oh, actually, that's where I was going to mention about not having a meeting on the 18th because we have our meeting on the 26th, and I hope everybody is able, or anybody is able to attend. I will be there at our annual meeting. And also, with the news that we got tonight, I was going to, encourage people to go to any place they can to kind of talk about our budget in the most positive light. And I don't think Stephen will be doing a rewrite. If anybody else wants to try and write something up about that, I can try to put it, because I've posted that in Front Porch Forum and on our Facebook page, which I guess I'll have to do something about that newsletter, and it's no longer accurate. So we got to figure out a way to talk about that.
Well, it was accurate at the time
It
that we
was.
sent it out, and I think,
And it was clear that they were all projections.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say we shouldn't.
Yeah, me
Update,
too,
but-
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I don't want people to hear this and think that we were,
Lying.
Yeah.
Lying, yeah, that we were trying to put one over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, agenda building for our next meeting, which will be February the 4th. What do we have on our? do
I
we
have E4, Risk Management Audit Report by Stan. It was also suggested a sports update and MRU presenting. I will also be giving a recommendation on transportation at that meeting. And I'm not sure if we want to discuss the class of 2020 at the next meeting.
Oh, yeah. I think we should put that on.
I was just gonna ask, Carol, did you just respond at least to say thank you? Okay.
Because it's operational and it's business office, and I just forwarded to Cheryl and Stan.
And I've had a
And I forwarded, yeah.
multi-communication today.
Yeah, and then they've followed up on
We
it.
followed
And
up
then
on
they
it,
have
yeah.
some information to report back to the board.
Correct. So that may be more just a recommendation again as to how we vote.
Yeah. Okay.
I think
Anybody else?
this isn't for next meeting, and it's not even for, it's like more towards like the end of the year. I just, maybe if we could enter it into is that, we did the math interventionist and we were talking about math. So at some time at the end of the year, if we could just have like a math recap of like, this is the stuff that we saw happen this year, and like what are, maybe if we have some ideas of what next year might look like, I think that would be helpful.
Absolutely.
And again, I don't need this now, I don't need this in a month, it's like, just something, if
Maybe
you could
like
put that,
May or something.
I just thought of it now.
End of the school year.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we do have it for June 10th, tentatively, assessment, strategic planning that we would report on. So I put in there specifically.
Great,
that.
thank you very
Oh,
much.
yeah, that's perfect. Okay.
Simple question. When are we expecting to go to Shrewsbury? Do we know that right now?
I do.
I've never been to that school, so I'm just curious.
We put it in spring because we wanted to get past the snow, because
That's
sometimes.
fine. Yeah.
April 15th.
April 15th.
Okay.
That should be
Which
good.
may or may not be past the snow in Shrewsbury.
This year.
Well, we
Just
went,
curious.
I think we went to Tinmouth like end of March, my first year, and we had
It was quite-
really
it was
like
nice. It was
6
snowy.
inches of snow fell while we were in the
Yeah.
meeting.
So
Don't
our,
remind poor. Remember Tinmouth?
our
What-
next
what-
travel is March 18th to Clarendon.
Okay,
To where?
Clarendon,
on March
right down the
18th.
street, March 18th. So we've got a ways to go. And then April is Shrewsbury.
Yep, that makes sense.
I didn't, I missed Tinmouth.
How
Okay.
you remember these things always amazes me.
I'm glad you got that
only it
list.
was
Anybody else have anything else they want to say on the agenda?
Oh.
What? No.
Nothing. It was something I just wasn't sure when to say, but something like, if we want to rotate staying late on meeting, like for us in person to help Will with whatever he needs when he's here, that could be helpful, because sometimes he just needs a few extra minutes. So if we like take turns making sure we're doing that. I forgot to say
I'll
it.
stay tonight.
Oh, thanks, Lynn.
Well, we have to chat anyways.
Okay.
How convenient.
We're
Thank
just
you,
putting
Lynn.
that on our radar.
Yeah.
Make sure it's not snowing, so you don't need your windshield wiper either.
Yeah.
I think I can get that on.
Change
The,
the wire.
the parking lot light.
Okay,
is
so
decent with-
now I
think I did.
always adjourn by consensus, but you're saying we need a 2/3 vote to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn,
Okay, so I make
it's
a
non-debatable, and then you vote.
motion to adjourn. All in favor? All right, that looks like 2/3 in my math.
Unanimous, actually.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.